I believe I can fly. This is Now Tell Us. I'm your host, Anthony Moirore. And today we are going to talk about being unstoppable, how to become unstoppable. And we have a wonderful guest with us. At Now Tell Us, we always have guests come and tell us stories. They come and inspire us, they come and educate us. And today's guest is going to do exactly that. Something interesting. She's going to tell us a lot because this is Now Tell Us. And before we go to meet our guest today, I would request you to please share this episode with all your friends. If you have a question, ask. If you have any comment on this episode or this podcast as a whole, we welcome feedback. So thank you in advance. And I won't talk much because we have a guest who's coming to tell us. So I would ask you to please come and join me to go and meet our guest who's known as Shaban. Ready? Here we go. Hello, Sherry.
Hi, Anthony. Nice to meet you here.
Nice to meet you too, and welcome to our show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here today.
Yeah, it's such an honor to have you here. And I know you have some good things to tell us today.
Well, I hope so. I hope that I offer to you and your audience something that serves them today, something that can help them become unstoppable, and that I can provide some value in some way for you.
Oh, that's good. So let's start by knowing where in the world are you right now?
I'm in Montreal, Canada. It is raining outside. It is cold. It's not as beautiful as where you are, Anthony, but we're grateful.
And it's always good to be grateful in whatever it is that we find ourselves in. So whether it's raining, whether it's snowing, whether it's sunny, we just thank we are thankful about it and grateful about it. So that's good.
So good.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
So what is it that you do in life, if I may ask?
I'm a health and life coach, and I've been doing this for 25 years.
Hmm.
And I see health in general as this relationship that we have with our body, the relationship that we have with others, and relationship that we have with ourself, which is mind. And so when I share health, we just want to talk about health being this constant dynamic state, this journey instead of this destination or this state that we're supposed to achieve. And so through that work, I help people transform from the inside out, not just focusing on how much they exercise and how they eat, but instead really creating this whole life transformation, because I truly believe that our health is the heartbeat of our entire life.
Oh, yeah, sure. If we are unhealthy, our bodies are not functioning to the full capacity, then we cannot ever imagine of achieving great things in life. Not doing anything, I mean, in the final end. So it's good that we focus on our health and our fitness on a day-to-day basis. So we are glad that you are focusing on that. You have a passion in that. Thank you very much for also helping other people to focus on it.
Thank you so much. And, just kind of what you were saying, Anthony, just how it's so important to honor our body. And what's so important about just adding in one more layer to that is, again, when we look at health, oftentimes we're really judging our health based on our physical body. And maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's our weight, and maybe that's our BMI, and maybe that's our blood test results. But that's not really the full story. That's one small aspect of our health. And all of those measurements actually give us our current state, but it's not really health. Because imagine you are eating super clean, you're exercising every single day, you're working on your personal growth, you're working on all these aspects of your life. However, your relationships are toxic, or maybe your partner is creating a lot of stress in your life. And so that takes away from your health. And so when we look at health, we want to actually step away from looking just at the physical body and how much we weigh and what our BMI is and our percent body fat is, because again, that is a very small snapshot of a static moment. And so I just want to insert this today because as we talk about becoming unstoppable, these are the elements in our lives that we also have to address, and not just how much we eat and how much we move.
Wow, that's very well put. And you mentioned an area that I'm always interested in talking about. Now, whatever it is that is happening out there is coming from the outside. Anything that you see constructed, any invention that has been done out there, it started from the inside. It just didn't happen. So it's important to look at the root of everything, and at the root of everything, where it all comes from. So focusing on the inside is the place to go. And
Absolutely.
uh, even before we go deeper into that, I would be curious to know, how did it all get started for you?
Yeah, long story. I'll try to summarize it as much as possible. But
Yeah.
growing up, I actually was very involved in sports. I was a child athlete. I was a competitive swimmer. I was a varsity athlete. And throughout high school, that's kind of what I was known for. And I would place, first in most events. I was MVP of different teams. And one day when I was 16 years old, I was going downtown, Lugano, Switzerland, which is where I lived at the time. And I was downtown with my roommate. We were actually buying Pearl Jam concert tickets. If anyone's a Pearl Jam fan, back then they were really big. So we went downtown to buy Pearl Jam tickets, and I didn't see the car coming. As we were coming back to go on our campus, I was actually struck by a car. And everything in my life changed in this very moment. I had no idea actually what happened when I woke up. I was in the hospital. I had had a concussion. I had blacked out. But more importantly, I had damaged my spine. And so after the accident, I went back to basketball practice. I started to feel a lot of pain in my body, a lot of excruciating pain going down my legs that just kept getting worse and worse and worse until eventually I couldn't shower on my own. I couldn't sit. I couldn't walk. And I had to have an emergency surgery on my back. And I did go on to have 2 more surgeries. But what really kind of changed the whole trajectory of my life was at that moment, doctors said to me, Sherry, you're never allowed to play sports again. You have to do just some light walking on a treadmill, and you have to accept this condition. And if one day you will become pregnant, you're going to have a lot of complications in your back. And so we would have to monitor you during that time. And so I listened to this advice for so long, Anthony. I was 17. I just turned 17 by then. And I started suddenly changing my lifestyle. I wasn't the athlete anymore. I now started to party and hang out with a very different crowd. I was engaging in a lot of different habits. And I continued to do this, really falling out of love with myself in the process until my early 20s. I kind of just woke up one day and I was like, who is this person? This is not me. This is not who I was ever supposed to be. I never envisioned myself that way. And so even though I was relying on pain medications every day, my back pain was constantly there. It was like the focus of my life. And even though my doctor's orders was don't ever exercise, I actually did go and sign up at a local gym. And I didn't know what I was doing at that time. I was actually studying chemistry. I was doing my master's degree in chemistry at the time when I got into that fitness world. And what I did when I signed up at the gym is I consistently stuck with it for a few months until eventually I noticed that my back pain was gone. I was able to come off of pain medication. And again, that's what really changed everything at the moment. I dropped out of my master's degree in chemistry. I went back to study all over again. I studied exercise science. I certified in everything I could possibly find around fitness and nutrition and different types of training. I went on to become a certified athletic therapist, and I became an osteopath in the process because I knew deep down inside that this was now my purpose, that all of this had to have happened for me. I had to have gotten struck by a car to be able to actually be on this trajectory so that I can overcome my own obstacle. And then my passion and my mission in life was to help other people do that too. because we all have something. We all have an obstacle. If you hear anybody's story, everyone has something. They're either struggling with their health, struggling with their weight, struggling with their relationships, struggling with limiting beliefs, struggling with an injury or a disease. So we all have something. And the goal is to accept that and to learn how to move past that. And so that's essentially what also my coaching is all about, is really that strength and that decision and that power to rewrite your story at any time. And you don't have to accept what other people say, and you don't have to accept your current circumstance as being a victim of what happened to you, but you can empower yourself through opportunities. And when you learn how to do that, you can change your identity, you can change who you think you are and who everyone has told you you're supposed to be, and you can absolutely create anything possible in your life.
Wow, wow. And I'm kind of thinking it's not an everyday person that will just wake up and start thinking positively about the limitations that we get to meet, because each and every one of us have a challenge in one area or the other. What was that really gave you that boost of saying, yes, I've been told I can't this, I can't do this, I can't go there, and then you went on moving and you transformed your life? What was that deep?
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So good. Such a good question. We have an inner knowing. We all do. Everyone has an inner knowing. And you know inside your heart when you are in alignment or not. There's this tension that's always there when you're not in alignment. There's this feeling of almost unhappiness, like you don't feel fulfilled in your life, even though it looks from the outside that you have success, whether that's money or relationships or health. When you're out of alignment of who you are and what your purpose here is, you feel it, you know it. And once you reach those benchmarks of success, you still feel unfulfilled. And so I had this constant feeling that I was carrying around with me. And so I will also challenge anybody who's listening to just ask themselves that same question, like where am I in my alignment? Where am I feeling around my purpose, and how am I feeling working? Because you know you're in alignment when it's almost like you have this excess energy. It's like it's, you know, deep down inside. Once you remove the self-doubt, once you remove the limiting beliefs, if you're spending time with naysayers, if you're spending time with people who are telling you that you can't, and you just remove all of this noise, you actually will reconnect with that part of you. Now, something that you said that was really powerful is, how can we stay positive? Well, we stay positive when we acknowledge that our default setting is going to be the negative. So right away, the mind is always going to go for the negative. And so even though I like to think and I believe I'm a very positive person, of course, I have my moments of self-doubt and I have my moments of negativity and negative self-talk. But the difference is, when we are aware that this happens, and this happens, by the way, the reason why we have a default first reflex negative thought or negative processing is because we've actually survived that way. That's how we evolved. We evolved to be able to project the worst possible case scenario. And this comes from our fight or flight or sympathetic nervous system. It is a natural thing. And so whenever we see adversity, the first thoughts or the first questions that come up in our mind, or the emotions, will be negative, will be, why me? Why did this happen to me? And I'm a victim of this. And so that's a natural process. Now, when you start to strengthen your mindset, you build the muscle essentially to acknowledge this. So you have to be aware that this is happening. And then what you're able to do is to shift quickly. So that way you don't spend time all day long or all week long in that state. Instead, you acknowledge it, you see it, you spend a few minutes in it, and then boom, now you're looking at solutions. And so I have my hard days. I have days where my back hurts. I have days where things don't go well in my business or in my relationships or in life. And I'm a mom and things don't always go so easy with my kids. But you have that moment that, you know, maybe that first reaction will be negative, but when you're aware of it, that's where you can start to rewire your thoughts and quickly shift to the positive by asking yourself a very powerful question, which is, how is this serving me now? What's great about this? How is this happening for me, not to me? And as you start to ask these more empowering questions, you realize that with every lemon, there is this juice that you can squeeze out. And the juice is eventually opportunity. It's opportunity for you to learn and to grow. And without these difficult moments in life, we can't grow. Because Anthony, if you were to go watch a movie And in the movie, the beginning of the movie, there's, a handsome hero. He's so amazing. He's got the perfect girl. He's got all this money and success. And then in the middle of the movie, there he still is. He's amazing. He's so good looking. He's got all this money and success. And then at the end of the movie, there he is again. He's got this amazing relationship and success and all these things, and nothing's ever happened. Well, that would be the most boring movie. Nobody would
Yeah.
ever pay for that movie, right? So you need
Mhm.
the villain in every story to have a powerful movie. And so that negative thoughts or that negative part of you that comes up is your villain. And the
Mhm.
things that happen in your life that are outside of your control, that is your villain. And the stronger the hero, the more powerful the hero is in the story, the more powerful the villain. And so when you start to look at life that way, as this play, it's just a story, and there's positive things, there's the hero, there's the villain, and there's constant play between them, you know that through every single encounter of an obstacle, that's your opportunity to grow, an opportunity to fight your villain.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you for all those insights. Really appreciate. And I'm sure the listener and the one who is watching is getting something out of this. And you talked about growing your muscle. I came about this picture that has a woman, a lady with a six pack. It's not every day that I see a lady with a six pack. How do you how did you reach to that?
Oh, it's all Photoshop. It's all AI, Anthony. It's all fake. It's interesting. I actually always get asked that question.
Mhm.
How did you get your six pack? How are you so lean? And I'm actually anti-diet, by the way. I don't diet. I don't count my food. I don't weigh out my macros. I don't even think about restricting. Like, I love to say I'm a fitness freak who eats cake, and so
Mhm.
that's sort of where I want everyone to be. But when we look at our society, we're so outcome focused. We're so goal oriented. We
Mhm.
set up life in terms of, I want to achieve this. When I achieve this, then I'll be fit. When I have a six pack, then I'll be happy. When I lose
Mhm.
30 pounds, then I'll be fit. And we have all these ideas that we just have to do something up until completion. And once we've completed it, we're done. We don't have to work on it anymore. It's like
Mhm.
taxes. Every spring, I submit my taxes. I prepare everything for my accountant. Once I'm done, I don't think about it again. And so when we see our health and fitness in this way, and we're only focused on our six pack, we're actually just focused on the outcome. And so the reason why I have a lean body is not because I was ever focused on a six pack. I actually never, ever even had a goal to have a six pack. My
Mhm.
goal was, first and foremost, was to be pain free. My goal was to be strong. My goal was to be independent. My goal was to not have to rely on anyone. And it still is. So up until my last and final breath, I don't want to have to rely on anyone to help me do anything, because
Mhm.
I've had 2 back surgeries. I was reliant on other people to bathe me, to go up the stairs, to take care of my kids. And I don't ever want to feel that again. And so instead, what we want to focus on is a system, is a process. How can I create the process? So again, if my goal is to have a six pack, for example, instead of focusing on having a six pack, it's more, who do I have to be to become the person who has a six pack? Or if my
Mhm.
goal is to release weight, instead of focusing on, I want to lose 30 pounds, what if we just instead focus on, who do I have to be? Who do I have to become to be the person who is 30 pounds lighter? And now what you're doing is you're setting up your lifestyle. Because if you set up your lifestyle in that way, what you're doing is you're creating a process. You're creating a system. Your system involves everything you do from the moment you wake up to the moment that you go to bed. And if you
Mhm.
play that system day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out, the side effect, the result of that system running is that physical body that you want. It's that change that you want. It is that six pack that you want. It is the loss of 30 pounds that you wanted. And so that is the whole concept around identity, and really focusing on, who do you have to become. And if you're not really sure who that is, if you do want to set up some fitness goal and you're just starting off in your journey and you don't know what that looks like, then I will encourage you to have a mentor. Maybe there's someone that you admire. Maybe there's someone around you in your life that you're like, wow, you really look up to them. You admire what they do. You want to become more like them. Again, not just around health and fitness. Maybe it's in their relationships. Maybe it's in their business and career. What are they doing? And so as you start to learn from them and ask questions, you can now start to schedule these things into your life. You can now start to adopt these habits, because we are the sum of all of our habits. And if we can understand that and really focus on one habit at a time, the outcome of that will be the system that we build. And then the side effect will be the results that we've always wanted.
Hmm. And we have someone who is agreeing with everything that you said. Her name is Mishka. Hi,
Hi,
Mishka.
Mishka. Hi.
Yeah. And she says that she's learned herself in her fitness journey that is just that, a journey that's ongoing and ever changing.
Yeah, that's so
Thank you,
good.
Mishka. Yeah. Now, let me ask you, are you pain free now from the back, from the surgeries? Are you pain free?
I have numbness still in my right leg. I'll never recover that. I have had nerve damage in my leg, but it's interesting. I no longer live my life as the girl who has a back problem. I just live my life as just Sherry, right? Because the more we're attached to the label, the more that problem exists. And we limit ourselves. We limit ourselves by saying, oh, I'm not strong. Oh, I can never do push-ups. Or, oh, I've got a bad this, or I've got a bad knee, or I've got a bad. And the more we say that, we just really enclose ourselves in a box of possibilities. And so I don't walk around really thinking that I have this issue. I do have every now and then some back pain, and I have also knee pain and other pains and neck pain and shoulder pains, and just from all the things that I do. But I never actually identify myself right now as a person who has a back issue. And identity is everything, because whatever we think we are, whatever we create as our self-image through the negative self-talk, through our limiting beliefs, through listening to naysayers or what people say about us, the more we actually view that and believe that, and we create a belief system around that, then every single action of our day will subconsciously support that self-image. If I call myself fat, and by the way, this is like my worst favorite word, and I hate this word. I say the other F word all the time, but this F word is like the F word that we don't say at home. But if
Mm-hmm.
I keep saying that about myself, and I'm on my weight loss journey or on my health journey, and I keep saying that, and that's how I describe myself, well, of course, all of my actions throughout the day is going to support my self-image. And so we have to be so careful about how we describe ourselves, because becoming unstoppable is a choice. It's you saying, this is who I am. I'm becoming the person who is this. And now changing your mindset around it. And the more you believe in that, the more your body, your thoughts, your emotions, your behaviors, all of your actions will start to support who you think you are.
Hmm. Wow. Wow. Thank you for that. Now, I happen to have visited the gym once in a while. I have to confess, I don't have a six pack, maybe also not some huge muscles. And I know from going there is that once you get started on exercise, once you get started on building your muscles, there's pain. And
Mm,
not only when you get started, but as you continue, there's going to be pain. Now, this is Sherry. She's been through surgery and has a lot of pain. And then she goes into pursuing that pain of, okay, you wanted to be free, yeah, but then it doesn't come easy. It's another pain. How did you maneuver all this to keep going? I mean, it's I'm adding pain on pain to
mm.
live to live my life in full.
Wow, you asked really good questions, by the way. So good. First of all, there's this little thing I want to address around Mishka's comment. So she said that she's learned about herself through her journey, and the journey is ongoing and ever changing. And this really relates a lot to your pain question. And
Mhm.
it's so important, first and foremost, to address that our health and fitness journey, in fact, our journey towards anything that we want in life, is not a straight line. It is
Mhm.
always like this. There's always going to be ebbs and flows and ebbs and flows. And so is your health journey. So the moment that I've, of course, started training, yes, I'm going against some pain. And there are moments where I completely overcame the pain, and then moments where it came back. And here's the thing about life is that we actually will have to always accept that in life, we will always have loss. We will always lose somebody that we love. We'll always lose maybe a career or an opportunity. We're always going to have pain and suffering. We're always going to have trauma. We're
Mm.
always going to have uncertainty in life, things that we don't expect. We're always going to have to work hard towards everything that we want in life. That is just fact and reality. And then finally, not everyone's always going to like us. That is a truth and
Mm.
unfortunate truth in life, that not everyone's going to like you no matter how hard you try and no matter what you do. But all of our human behavior, all of our decisions is always around moving towards pleasure and moving away from pain. Every single life decision we make, every single decision that you make in your life around any part of your life, it's always moving away from pain and moving towards pleasure. Now, the way that we can rewire that in order for us to handle the pain is to reassign pain and pleasure points. So, for example, before I started training and going at the gym, my pain was physical pain. It was real pain. And it was back pain. It was debilitating pain where I relied on pain medication. And then my pleasure was not to do any activity. That was to listen to the doctor's advice. That's what I originally thought was the right thing to do. But then at
Mm.
one point, the pain changed. Now, the pain that I now had was not the physical pain anymore. The pain was this idea that I would always rely on someone else. The pain was an idea that no matter what I did in my life, that I'd always have problems in my back, that I would always be relying on pain medication, that I would always have issues, that I wouldn't be able to really do a lot of things that I always saw myself to do. And that's why that one day when I woke up in my early 20s and I was like, who is this person? That was my new pain. My pain wasn't my back pain anymore. My pain was, who is this person? I don't want to live the rest of my life like this. I want to have
Mm.
a free life. I want to be able to be independent and not rely on anyone. And now the pleasure shifted. The pleasure now was independence. The pleasure was being able to be pain free. And so as you go to the gym, you're experiencing two pains. There is the physical pain of effort and working out. And then there is the pain of remaining how you are, not changing, having to still accept all of the challenges that you're going through. And for me at that moment, that was all the issues with my back. And so the moment you reassign pain and pleasure, that's how you can start to move towards it. The idea of not having a free life and depending on somebody was way more painful to me than the commitment to training and the commitment to work on my strength.
I love that. Wow. Is so you take you imagine you have two pains, and this reminds me of this famous quote that I can't remember who said it, that life is gonna be hard whether you do it or you don't. You gotta choose your hard.
Yes, so good.
So you do it hard. Wow, thank you very much. You have some great insights, and thank you for sharing them with us.
Thank
Now,
you, Anthony.
we see Mishka says she's been going through some
Mm,
similar things, and she's been having to adjust to life with to these inconveniences.
right.
And, so she identifies with what it is that you've been going through. We
Yeah.
wish you all the best, Mishka.
Yeah, Mishka, I want to just add something really quick to maybe give you some support. So results don't come from intensity.
Mm.
Results come from consistency. And so it is normal again that your fitness journey is going to be like this. There's moments where you're injured and then all of a sudden you're feeling good. There's moments when you're ill, all of a sudden you're feeling good. There's moments when there's life events, maybe somebody passed away in your life. And so this is your journey. But what you want to do is no matter what, consistent. Consistency just means that you show up for yourself no matter what. It's not about how much you did. It's about the fact that you showed up. So if you're experiencing now all of these things, instead of stopping, maybe think about what you can do instead. Maybe it's light swimming. Maybe it's light walking. Maybe it's a 5-minute workout instead of a 1-hour workout. It doesn't matter. And I've done this so many times that just in the last 2 years, I've torn my calf muscle. I've injured my meniscus. I've had shoulder injuries. I've got COVID 3 times. And while I was doing this, I was still training. Not because I was intense. I wasn't crazy and trying to, do the normal things, but sometimes my workouts looked like 10 squats, 10 sit-ups, 10 push-ups, done. That was it. But that created consistency for me. And so it's always harder to go from 0 to a 5-minute walk than to go from a 5-minute walk to a 1-hour walk. So always just kind of keep your foot in there, no matter what. Like even reduce your load, but just stay consistent with your rituals, and you'll see you'll get over all of this, and you'll still have that muscle of consistency that you can fall back on.
Wow, it's the consistency. So Mishka and everyone who's listening, it's the consistency. Mishka says that she does mental push-ups.
Yeah, that's
Mishka
good.
says it helps.
It does. It
mental,
actually does. Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
So how do I do mental push-ups? Maybe if
Oh my
Mishka was
goodness.
here to tell us how you do mental push-ups.
Yeah, I want to hear from Mishka too. How do you do that? But Anthony, there have been so many studies that show that just
Mhm.
through the practice of visualization, you can actually
Ah,
work on certain skills. So you can close your eyes and visualize yourself doing push-ups and just do that over and over again, and your body feels like it's true. And they've done studies to prove, they've taken two groups of people, one actually doing the exercise, one visualizing the exercise, and the results are quite similar.
wow, interesting.
Hmm.
So on the days that I have been missing to go for a jog, I'm gonna be doing mental jogging and mental
Yeah.
push-ups.
Yes, and pull-ups and do an Ironman while you're at it. Just see yourself doing all the things.
Yes, and I'm gonna give some feedback at some point of how it's working for me. Hopefully, most of the days I will be going out and doing it physically. And,
Hmm.
and Mishka says yes, she cheers herself on, and she stops the stinking thinking and not sinking into feeling sad for herself.
All
Thank you,
right.
Mishka.
So good.
Yeah, thank you, Mishka, for sharing that. Now, yeah, sum it up on how we are going to become unstoppable in a few points, or maybe just your very best that we can
Mm.
grab from here and go and live an unstoppable life.
Oh, so good. So, my advice for anybody who wants to become unstoppable is to harness two things. Okay. The first thing is an immovable heart. And then the second thing is an unstoppable mind. And so, immovable heart, I want you to imagine something that really lights you up, something that sings to you, something that speaks to your heart. You create an immovable heart with a strong vision. Your immovable heart is your vision. And it is what you see in your life. It's that thing that you want so bad. You can see it so clearly. You know that that's your path. You know that that is your purpose. You know that you've always wanted to do this thing. Keep it so clear in your mind. The more clear it is in your mind, the more you practice visualizing it and seeing it and embodying it, the stronger that heart becomes. You really create that immovable heart. I want you to think of the immovable heart as the Grand Canyon. Nothing, no force in nature can move it. No matter what obstacle comes in the way, it is immovable and it'll always be there. No matter what, you'll never get derailed. And then, number two, to harness an unstoppable mind. Your unstoppable mind is your why, it is your purpose, it is your reason why you're doing this. And when you have a very strong reason, when you have a very strong driving force, again, no matter what comes up in your life, you will always come back. You will always continue to work towards that goal. You'll never give up. And so I want you to see the unstoppable mind as a tsunami. There's a tsunami with the Grand Canyon, and both are powerful forces. And no matter what, when they combine, they both still exist and they both are still there. And so when we have goals where our why is, oh, I want to lose 10 pounds because it's summer and I want to wear my bathing suit, that does not create an unstoppable mind. That is a very temporary goal. And as we spoke about, we achieve that goal and then we're done and we stop working. So instead, I want to harness health because I want to feel light in my body, because I want to be on my feet up until my very last moment, because I want to be a role model for my kids, because I want to be inspiration for the people around me, because I want to be able to do these amazing adventures in my life and never have to regret missing out on anything on my deathbed. These are very, very strong reasons why you'll continue to commit. So harness that immovable heart, make it so powerful. Your immovable heart is your vision of what you want. Your unstoppable mind is your why. It is your reason. And when you have two very powerful forces that come together, you create life out of that. You really do become unstoppable.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that, Sherry. we become unstoppable by a movable heart and unstoppable mind. You got
Mhm.
that. You got that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, we are almost coming to the end of this show, and I'm thinking there could be someone who's out there listening or watching us and is wondering, hey, how can Sherry help me more? How can I connect with Sherry? How do we go about this? And in what way do you work with people who could be interested in maybe working together with you?
Oh, amazing. So, thank you again so much, Anthony, for having me on. It was such a pleasure to be here. And I do have free offerings and, of course, more coaching services for those who are looking for that type of support. And the best way to access all of my things is if you go to sherryshaban.com/transform, and you'll have access to all of the different things. But essentially, one of the greatest things and most important purposeful missions I have of mine is to help women overcome out of control eating, self-sabotaging behavior, and to really overcome problem eating behaviors so that they can transform their body and health once and for all. And so we oftentimes think about making changes around our diet and around our fitness. But when we have these unwanted behaviors, when we have these addictive behaviors or self-sabotaging behaviors, that's really what stands in our way. And so if you're interested in overcoming any unwanted eating behavior, I do actually have a free workbook to download where there's some journal prompts and a way also to access me. So if you go to makepeacewithfood.com, you can grab that journal. And then finally, if you just want to reach out and pick my brain, you can always find me on Instagram. My handle is at Sherry Shaban Fitness.
Wow, thank you. So they had that. So they're going to follow up with you. And I believe we're going to have a good time together. And yeah, Mishka is heading over to your site immediately. And she's glad that she joined us today. Thank you very much, Mishka. We really appreciate. And everyone else who's joined us, we thank Larry. Thank you, Larry, for being with us. And yeah, because Larry was so inspired by this episode. And everybody who's there or watching or listening and didn't comment, we appreciate you also. Uh, Remember, if you can't go out there, go and do some mental push-ups, but make it a point of going out there and doing some exercise. It's encouraging. Start from the inside and let it come out. Thank you very much, Sherry. We really appreciate.
Thank you, Anthony. It was such a pleasure. You're amazing. What a beautiful being you are and gorgeous energy. Keep doing what you're doing.
We really appreciate you also for being a very wonderful and very kind person to us.
Mhm.
Yes. So this has been Now Tell Us. I have been your host, Anthony Murore. And together with our guest, Sherry Shaban, we are saying go and become unstoppable. It's possible.
Mhm.
Have a strong why and go after it. Bye for now. Until next time.